Hello and welcome to our third session in this modifier section, wherein we are going to continue with our generate section of modifiers, and we are going to deal with mirror modifier. So to begin with, I will come into the Blender. You have the default cube here. I will select this and I will come into the modifier, and in the add modifier I will come into generate and I am going to add the mirror modifier. Now as of now, when I add this mirror modifier, you are not seeing any changes here. Whether I mirror it along x axis, y axis or z axis, you are not seeing any changes. So for you to make this understand better, I will come into here the overlays and I am going to enable the statistics. So when I enable the statistics, you can see in the statistics, when I switch off the z axis, you can see the vertices is changing, and in x you have 16, and if I switch off mirror, now it has only 8 vertices. Means the mirror is happening and you are seeing the vertices increasing, but only thing is you are not seeing it here because the mirror modifier works based on the point of origin. Right now the point of origin of our object is exactly at the center. So when you mirror it either along the x, y or z axis, it is just overlapping with our original model. So to make you understand this better, I will press numpad 1, come into the front view, I will press tab and I am going to now come into the mirror, and I have enabled mirror along the x axis here. Now I will press G, and as I move it to the left on the x axis, you can now see that the mirror is now visible because the mirror is happening across this axis. So now actually when I mirror it along the x axis, it is happening along this origin point. So when the object is to the right of my origin point, you are seeing the mirrored object on the left. Now similarly, if I enable the y axis mirror, again here you are not seeing any extra addition here. If I now press numpad 7, come into the top view, I will now press G, Y, and if I move it to the top like this, now you can see that my cube has mirrored both along the x axis and along the y axis. And similarly, now if I enable the z axis mirror, and if I come and see here, you are not seeing its effect because the z axis cursor is exactly to the center. So if I press numpad 1, come into the front view, press GZ, and if I move it to the top like this, now you can see that my one cube is mirrored along the x axis, you got 2, then mirrored along the y axis and you got 4 cubes, and all the 4 cubes are then mirrored along the z axis. So I am now going to create a table. I will come over here and temporarily I will remove this mirror modifier, press A and select everything, press N, and here in the median I will set its value to 0 so that this is placed exactly at the center. I am going to press 7, come into the top view, and then I will come into the wireframe mode, see that the toggle X-ray is on, and in the vertex selection mode I will select all the vertices on the left hand side, and I am now going to press GX and I will move it to the side by approximately by 1 unit, so that I have reduced this exactly to the half of my cube size. And the same thing I will do even along the y axis. I will select these 2 points, press GY, and I will move it down by around -1 unit. So now if I press tab, I will press 1 and come into the front view, and now I will press tab here and I will select these vertices at the bottom, press GZ, and I will move it to the top like this, and also I will select this, press GZ and move it down, and I am going to now first create this table top, and so I will have a small width of table that I am going to create it like this. So I will press tab, and now I have quarter of my table visible here, press Z and come into solid view, and now for this I will come into the add modifier and generate. I am now going to add the mirror modifier. So when I am mirroring along the x axis, you are seeing the width of the table like this, and I will also mirror it along the y axis. So now I have my table top ready. Now the next thing is, this table has 4 legs. So for that I will press tab, and come into this view, and in the wireframe view I will come here and I will press A to select everything and then press Ctrl R, and I am going to add some 4 loops here. I will click once and right click. So, I have added 4 loops. So, similarly here I will press Ctrl R and also horizontally I will add 4 loops. I will click once and right click, and now I have 4 loops on either side. And now I will come over here and I am going to now come into press Z and come into solid view, and in the solid view I am going to select one. Now one thing is, I want this leg to be not square but it should be round. So for that I will press Ctrl R and I will add 3 loop cuts, click once and right click. Now similarly I will press Ctrl R and add 3 loop cuts and right click, and I will select the vertex selection tool. I will select the vertex here, press Ctrl numpad plus, and I will select this entire area. Then I am going to press X and I will delete the faces. So I have deleted these faces over here, and you can now see the face is cut in all the 4 sides here because it is mirrored. Then I will come into edge selection mode and I will select this edge like this. So once I select this, I will come into vertex selection mode. Now I will right click, and in the loop tools I am going to choose the circle, and I will press S and I will slightly reduce the size of this circle now, and then I am going to now press E and I am going to extrude it along the Z axis. I will press numpad 1 and you can now see the leg is coming out. I will extrude it to a distance like this. So now I have got my table here, and in this table now if I want to decorate it with some grooves and other things, say for example I will come here, press Ctrl R, and here I will add some 4 again loop cuts horizontally here, right click and end it. Then I will take the face selection tool and I am going to alt click and select this face. With shift alt I will select this face. I will then press E, right click, and then press alt S, and I am going to scale it in. You are seeing a gap here. See, I doesn't want this gap. So I will press Ctrl Z, and now I will come over here in this transform pivot point, and I am going to choose this and set it to 3D cursor so that it is going to get transformed from this point. And now if I press S and if I scale it in, now it is getting scaled to the center, and you have 2 grooves created in the table like this. So I have a groove running all around like this. Now apart from this, say for example on this leg, if I want to add some more detail, say for example here I will come over here, press Ctrl R, and I am going to add 2 loop cuts. I will click once, right click, I will come over here to the median and set it back to median point. Now I will scale it along the Z axis like this. Then I will come into face selection mode. I am going to select this face. I will press E, right click, then I will press Alt S and I will scale it down like this, and I will add a cut like this. So now you are seeing this cut visible on all the 4 sides. Select this, right click, and in the edge selection mode I will alt click and select this edge. Then I will press E and Z, move it down. I will press S and slightly scale it up like this, and I get a structure like this. So now I have created the table using this mirror modifier. Now this table is around 1 meter long, and I want the dimensions of the table to be changed. Now I want this table to be slightly smaller or bigger, means I can press tab here, press A to select everything, and now I will come into the mirror and I will enable clipping. And now if I press G, X and if I move it, see like this I can make the table smaller like this along the X axis. Or I can press G, Y and I can make this smaller along the Y axis like that. And I can press G, X. See, I can change the dimensions of my table here. Say for example now initially I will set this table to a larger size, and now in the animation I want this table to become smaller or bigger. or I want to control it with a controller means, then I will press tab and come into the object mode. I will come here and call this cube as scalable table. I will give it the name as scalable table, and then I will press Shift A, and now I am going to add an empty, and I am going to call this empty as controller. Now here I will select the table, and in the mirror object I am going to come here and choose the controller. Now if I select this controller and if I move it along the x-axis, as I move the controller, you can see that the table width is changing. See, I can either move it this side or move it this side. So when I am moving it, see, I will right click and cancel it, press numpad 1, come into the front view, and when I move it along the x-axis, now what is happening is this is moving and going away on the other side, see, like this. So to avoid this, I will right click and cancel this. I will come select this table, and here in the axis I will choose this option bisect, and when I select bisect, and then now if I select this controller, press GX, and when I move it, you can now see that the table is not going on the other side. See, it doesn't go along on the other side, whereas I can adjust the scale from a maximum width of this to the size of this. So like this I can move it along the x-axis. So similarly, if I come along the y-axis, if I press GY and move it, see here also I can only move it till here. If I want to increase this length, select the table, press tab, press numpad 7, come into the top view, and along the GY in edit mode I will scale it down a little more like this. Now I will come back to my controller, and selecting the controller along the GY, if I move it, so from this size I can move it till here. But when I am moving it, again you can see that when I move it too much, it is projecting outside. To avoid this, I will again come here, select the scalable table, and I am now going to enable bisect Y, and then now if I select this, and when I click on the bisect Y, what is happening is both my legs are getting merged. So if I press GY and move it and show it to you, so it is getting merged. So only when I move it beyond a particular length, you are able to see it. See, this is the effect of this bisect. Okay, and when I enable bisect, so I will select this scalable table, come here and switch off bisect along the x-axis, y-axis, and along the x-axis whenever I am doing this bisect, I have another option here, flip. If I flip it, you can now see that if I now press and select this controller, and if I move it along the x-axis, now you can see that it is flipped, and the two legs are coming at the center, and this side it is blank. So it is getting flipped like this. So I will right now select the table, come here and switch off this flip. Then I will select the controller and I will set its position back to 0. Selecting this controller, I can even add rotation to create some interesting effects. Say for example, I will select this, and in the rotation I will press RZ, and if I rotate it, see, this can be rotated and moved like this. Say for example, I rotate it by around a 40-degree angle along the z-axis, and you are going to see this table appear like this. And also at the same time, this can also be animated. Say for example, at frame number 1 with controller selected, I will add a keyframe for location and rotation. Then I will move this to around 60th frame, and then I will set this Z rotation to 0, and I am going to add a keyframe, and at the same time I will also move this along the x-axis a little like this, and I am going to reduce the height like this, and also in Y I will move it up like this. So I will set around 0.6 along x-axis and minus 0.4 along y-axis. And now if I add a keyframe here, now I have set this range 0 to 60, I will also set this end frame to 60, and now I will come over, I will come here and I will enable matte cap and I have orange shade like this, and I will also enable cavity here. And now if I rewind this and if I play it, see, you can have some interesting effects like this. Okay, so now we have seen how this mirror is going to work. So right now I will stop the playback, I will rewind it, I will come back to file, save as, and I am going to come into my folder for modifiers, and I am going to name this as 43 resizable table mirror example, and I am now going to save this file. Now for the next modifier, I will come here, file new, and I am going to create a new file. I am going to select this default cube, press X, and I am going to delete it. And for now, for my purpose, I am going to press Shift A and I am going to add a Suzanne monkey. And also I will come here in the overlays and I am going to enable statistics. So as of now, this Suzanne monkey has 507 vertices. Now I am going to come into the modifier, and the next modifier in the generate we have is the multi-resolution modifier. So when I choose this multi-resolution modifier, now as of now you are not seeing any changes, but you have a division here called as subdivision, and in this subdivision, if I click on subdivide once, you can now see that the number of vertices has increased to 2012, and you can see a little smoothness added over here. And now if I click again second time, you can see the second subdivision applied here, and this becomes more smooth, and I can even apply the third subdivision, and you can now see the vertices number has gone to 31,000. Now this is similar to subdivision surface, but only difference here is, say by chance I want the number of subdivisions to be reduced or deleted, then I can reset all this to subdivision level 1. I can come in under unsubdivide, and if I click delete higher, now all the subdivisions above this 1 are removed. So we have so many controls. We can also subdivide it using the simple subdivision logic here, and I will reduce this back to 1 here, and then I can also delete higher. I will delete all the subdivisions, then I can also use the linear subdivision, and you can see how the values changes. So this is the application of this we are going to discuss in detail in our advanced classes. So here I can set, say for example, subdivisions 2 level in viewport, 3 level in sculpt mode, and 3 level in render mode. Now I am going to actually set this to around 3 level in all the 3, and then I will come here and click apply to apply this subdivision. The next modifier we have here is the remesh modifier. So when I select this remesh modifier, immediately you can now see that the number of vertices from 31,000 has reduced only to 1,424. This is similar to somewhat like decimate, but in this case the entire mesh is regenerated using 4 principles here. One is the voxel, and you can set the voxel size here, and as I change the size, you can now see the number of vertices are reducing. Okay. Now similarly, sharp is another mode, and even here I can set the scale and change the scale level here, and I can change the scale level and the depth level. This is 4, I can make it 3, 2. See, now it has only 12 vertices, and I can even make it 4, 5. So like this I can reshape it in using the sharp mode. The other mode I have is the smooth mode, and the final one is the blocks mode. Blocks mode means the entire thing will be converted into something like a Lego block. So if I increase the octane depth here, you can see that how my entire monkey is divided into something like a Lego block here. See? Okay. So, this is all about the remesh. I will delete this. So in this session, we have explored about 3 modifiers. One is the mirror modifier, multi-resolution modifier, and remesh modifier. This multi-resolution and remesh, we are going to work on it in detail in our future classes. So the next modifier is the screw modifier, and we are going to deal with it and understand and build some models like a bolt and a nut in our next session. Thank you.